Ford High School Weekly is brought to you by your Oklahoma Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Oklahoma. And by Rib Crib, smoking good stuff since '92.
Welcome to Ford High School Weekly. I'm your host, Deion Imade. One of our favorite topics on Ford High School Weekly is college recruiting, which is going through tremendous change. So we decided to talk with some local experts about the change and how it affects high school athletes who are going for those college scholarships. We'll hear from a coach and two high school reporters. Joining me now is the Owasso Rams head football coach, Bill Blankenship. Coach, how's it going?
Doing good, Deion. Good to see you again, man.
Oh, man, it's been a while, but how are things after football season?
Well, we're kind of into the grind and flow of off season. Love it that it's April. I mean, we're starting to see guys get outside a little bit more, and our guys that are with us in off season are trying to put in a little extra work, and you see them because the sunshine is out most days, and so they're going to get out and around and throw it and catch it. I saw some linemen out working some footwork drills today, so really, really good to be in this time of year.
Yeah, I always remember this time of year when I was playing, this is the time you get to really fine tune the skills that you need for those Friday nights. So it's good to see those boys putting in that hard work in the off season when people aren't paying attention.
Well, and we've got a big group in our track program, and I love for those guys to be running. A few of our players are in baseball. Mason Willingham, our quarterback, is in baseball. Got a running back in soccer and a couple of others. And so we've got them scattered everywhere. But the great thing at Owasso is that Jourdan Johnson, our strength coach, kind of gets to have his hands on all of them. He works with every sport here at the high school. And so, he's making sure that they're all in training and they're all doing what they're supposed to do.
In years past, I mean, a lot of kids have chosen what college they want to go to based off of who's going to give them the best opportunity, if it's the best education or if it's going to be, the best place to make it to the NFL. In your situation, how is it and where kids are now choosing the high schools they want to go to off of who's going to put me in the best situation to make to the Division I schools or get my best opportunity to go to school? What kind of advice are you giving these kids?
Well, the number one thing, I try to simplify it, Deion, and I just think if you play well and put something on film, you give yourself the best chance to be recruited. At a school like we have, and certainly the bigger schools in the state, you're not going to not be found. I don't think, especially in football, that the days of really, hiding under a rock somewhere and there being all this talent that is not found, not located, it just doesn't happen. The football programs around the nation have so much money that they have invested to recruit. The odds are they're going to locate you if you can play. And I just try to get our players to relax, to understand that, and to become the best football player they can and get that on film to where college recruiters, scouts, if you will, can see them actually participate and play well and get an opportunity to be seen.
Well, Coach, you've had experience on both levels, the college and the high school level, and you didn't coach in the day and age of NIL deals and name,
Right.
image, and likeness, but how has that kind of changed your, appearance on high school football, and how have you seen it change the game so far?
Well, I don't know how much or if it has really changed our game yet. I think it's a matter of time because generally everything trickles back down into what we do. The NIL is still very new to even the college world. I think if you talk to those guys, they're telling you, or they will tell you if they're being honest, that they're still trying to figure out how to navigate the NIL. It's certainly present. It's a big deal. Players are able to get their deals. How is that going to impact us long term? How's it going to impact it short term? I'm not sure anybody really has really good answers to that. I have some young men that are getting recruited, and I just encourage them to, pay attention and to work those deals. But don't forget that the game is really going to be the thing that drives the money down the road. So don't get lost in your deal and forget to, earn a place on the field, because ultimately, to maintain those deals, you're going to have to develop an opportunity to get on the field and get some playing time.
In the past, you wouldn't have seen something like a kid gets offered a scholarship and then it gets rescinded. But it seems like it's something that's been on the uptick here as of late in the recruiting world. What do you tell players when those situations come up, and how often have you seen it happen lately?
Well, when you talk about the deals or the offers being rescinded, I haven't seen it a lot. There's certainly been situations over the years that happens, sometimes because there's a coaching change, sometimes because a player just doesn't want to make a decision. And we say it's been rescinded, but nearly every case, a university is offering 4, 5, or 6 kids for that one spot. And it's not unusual to have the conversation with the young men that are all going to, you're recruiting people to be the next running back. Well, how many scholarships do you have for that spot? Well, it's maybe 1 or 2. So it's not unusual to say, hey, we're going to take 2 of these, but we're offering 6 of you. So who gets that? Well, the guy that makes his mind up first. So if you're into to negotiating or trying to play the field and you want to take all your visits, all that's good. But sometimes those scholarships actually go away because those schools are going to fill up with young men that have committed to them. So you've got to play your odds a little bit and know that if I really want to dance for a long time, everybody may not still be here when the music stops. Or if I get my dream school, go ahead and jump on that thing and get that thing committed. And you see that.
Next up on Ford High School Weekly, we have the Oklahoman's high school sports reporter Cameron Jourdan with his perspective on the ever-changing world of recruiting.
Ford High School Weekly is brought to you by Billy Sims Barbecue. It's not just barbecue, it's Boomer Q.
Welcome back to Ford High School Weekly. Joining me now is Cameron Jourdan from the Oklahoman. Cameron, how's it going, man?
Doing pretty well. How are you, Deion?
Not too bad. You know what it is. Basketball season's now over. What sports are you diving into now?
So in the springtime, I really focus on golf and soccer and really try to get into those sports as much as we can. It's just such a condensed season since basketball goes until mid-March. And one of the big things that I'm working on right now actually is our all-city and all-state basketball selections. I've been working on those pretty heavily for a couple of weeks now, and our all-city selections for all winter sports at the Oklahoman start coming out this Sunday for the next week. So here in a couple of weeks, I'll be done with that and just focus fully on spring sports. But I'm mainly working on finishing up these all-city teams and then getting into a lot of golf and soccer coverage as well.
Man, the work never stops for you, man. The work never stops. But speaking of things that never stop, recruiting in high school athletics is always up and coming, always going around. And we've had some new things pop up lately. It's been a big change in the landscape with everything that went down with the pandemic and how the transfer portal has moved some things around, and also NIL deals have come into play. So the first thing I wanted to tackle with you is what's your thoughts on everything as far as the landscape of recruiting in 2022 and how it's changed from years past?
Yeah, it's completely different right now than it was even a couple of years ago. The amount of scholarships that are truly available, especially when you look at sports like football, for high school seniors looking to go on to the next level, it's not as many. You have to be a really, really good football player to get a Division I offer. And obviously, there's still going to be plenty of spots available at Division II schools, Division III schools, JUCOs, NAIAs. But Division I is what everybody always talks about, and the amount of scholarships at that level is less and less because of the transfer portal. Instead of coaches giving out 23 to 24 scholarships to high school players every year when you're allowed 25 in a signing class, you may only see 18 to 19 of those spots, and in some cases even fewer than that given to high school players. So a lot of times these colleges, even Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Tulsa, these in-state programs would be giving scholarships out to that many kids. And now if you're one of those 4 or 5 kids, even in the cases up to the 8, 9 kids of the kind of at the back half of the signing class, maybe just guys that they signed to fill in spots, guys that they signed to kind of be reserve players. You get them in the weight room for a couple of years, you develop them in the program, and hopefully they turn into really good players in their sophomore, junior, senior years after red shirts. Those guys aren't getting as much of a chance anymore. You have to be a really, really good football player at the high school level to earn a full ride scholarship. And Oklahoma's done a really good job of developing high school programs in the last 5 to 10 years. And you're seeing a better quality football product because of that at the high school level. But because of that as well, you're also seeing high school recruiting gone up. The amount of top-rated prospects coming out of the state is increasing every single year. It's gotten tremendously better in the last 5 years. This 2023 class that's coming up, the spotlight's just now kind of getting on them. It's incredible. It's so deep at the top. It's becoming a deeper class every single day. And I think that that's going to continue to happen as the years go on, just because of the amount of talent and the amount of development that's happening at a youth level in the state. But it's changed tremendously, and you see that mostly with how many kids in each signing class are getting scholarships coming straight out of high school.
So Cameron, now is COVID over as far as its effect on recruiting, or has the pandemic kind of moved things in a direction that it's never going to change?
That's another really big domino effect of everything that happened back in 2020. You know, everybody who was in college essentially got a COVID year, so they had the opportunity to have an extra year of eligibility. You'll still see that on college rosters this year, and as it comes into the 2022-2023 school year. And even to the next couple of years as well. And that's one thing that's really hurt recruiting as well, because you have a bunch of athletes, these super seniors, as they've been referred to as these last 2 years, or as they've been coined. These super seniors are staying for an extra year of school, which is more scholarships that these universities can't hand out if there's somebody on scholarship who's deciding to stay an extra year. So you factor that in. Especially at the football level, most every football program has a handful of those guys who would be gone in a normal year, who are now staying for an extra 5th year or possibly in a 6th year. And that just takes away from the amount of scholarships you have to give away at the high school level. That definitely has hurt it. And so that's something that is for sure going to slowly trickle down these next couple of years, and that won't be as big of an impact, but that one is still really being felt right now as well.
So correct me if I'm wrong, and this is just for the viewers so they get a clear understanding. Those guys that were playing during that COVID year all got an extra year, but eventually there will be no more extra years given. Like when the freshmen of that COVID year finally graduate, they'll be done. And so high school recruiting will kind of go back to the way it was before.
That is correct, yes. If only people who are at these universities, non-seniors, only people who are at the universities, the way I understand it, the year that COVID happened and everything shut down, got that extra year of eligibility, got that so-called COVID year, and are able to become super seniors. So once you get past that freshman class from that year, those super seniors, so to be called, won't be taking up any extra more scholarships.
Friend of the show, Michael Knight from Prep Redzone joins us next to talk about college recruiting on Ford High School Weekly. Welcome back to Ford High School Weekly. We're talking about college recruiting. Joining us now is Oklahoma Prep Redzone's Michael Knight. Michael, how's it going?
It's going good, man. Always fun to hop on here and talk with you.
Certainly is. We're going off what our usual subject matter. Just kidding. We talk about recruiting with you all the time, and we've had this conversation kind of in short windows, but we kind of want to look at it in a macro level now, as far as the climate of recruiting and how things have changed in these recent years.
Yeah, I think you have to start with the transfer portal being open, and the kids getting an opportunity to transfer once they get to college and not have to sit out a year. And it's at this point, we're just getting out of a global pandemic. But when you're talking about recruiting, the transfer portal, in my opinion, is a recruiting pandemic. Like it's a problem. It's a big problem for high school athletes. And I'll tell you this story. I won't tell the college, but here's a perfect example. A college was recruiting in December of last year before they had even signed their 2022 class. This was before the first signing period in December, and they were recruiting a local Tulsa area school looking for running backs, and they were going ahead to the 2023 class and saying already we're only going to take one running back out of high school in the 23 class. We've already slotted a spot for the transfer portal for our 23 class at the running back position. They hadn't even signed their 22 class yet, and so they have no idea who that transfer is going to be, where he comes from. But all they know is they're going to take a running back out of the transfer portal in 2023, which limits the options for high school kids coming out. So it's a problem. It's been a problem. And until something changes, I don't see it going away anytime soon.
So in your, opinion, do you think college programs should look for kids in high school first and have to develop them, or should they be looking for, proven products in the transfer portal?
I'm 100% biased. I'm all about the high school kids. So, I mean, that would be my answer. But if I was a college coach and I was in their position and these guys are making more and more money, which means the job security gets less and less. Like, look, if you don't win games, if you don't make it to bowls, if you're not in the top 25 contending for playoff spots at certain places, your hot seat is ridiculous, and it's about who you bring in. And so I understand it from the college coach perspective. It's like, okay, well, I want to take a high school kid who I'm going to have to develop, and maybe he doesn't pan out. I mean, how many times have we seen 5-star, 4-star prospects that are All-Americans, and then they get to the next level and just nothing happens? Why would I take that kid as opposed to a kid who's already at another Division I program? Maybe it's another Power 5 school. Maybe it's a Group of 5 school. He's already established. We know what he's done at the collegiate level. Why wouldn't I go ahead and take that kid over a kid who I'm going to have to develop? I'm going to have to risk my job security. Like, if it doesn't pan out, it looks bad on my part, as opposed to the borderline sure thing from the guy who's already proven himself at the collegiate level. I understand it from both sides. It's frustrating, and like I said, I don't know how you fix it. I really don't, unless you start putting the limitations back on kids transferring. And then at the same time, I don't know if that's the right thing to do, because college coaches can leave. They're able to do whatever they want. They have that freedom, but the kids don't. If they transfer, they have to sit out a year. Well, now they don't have to, and that's become, the big problem with recruiting high school athletes. Is more and more the transfer numbers are going up and up, and the kids signing out of high school are becoming less and less.
So the competition is starting to increase for not only just the kids that you're competing with in high school, but also competing against individuals in the transfer portal. So I asked you this question: how do kids in high school make themselves more attractive to those, schools that are trying to recruit them?
I've thought of it from a couple of perspectives. And before a couple of weeks ago, I had a conversation with the dad of a kid in Oklahoma who, in my opinion, is a high-profile prospect, should be recruited as such. But because of his position, quarterback, those numbers are going down when it comes to that recruitment out of high school. And he mentioned something to me. Obviously the transfer portal is hurting them right now, because colleges are more likely to take a transfer quarterback as opposed to a high school senior. But at the same time, he's going to get an opportunity to play college ball somewhere. It might not be a Power 5 program, but if he goes to a Group of 5 school, absolutely tears it up. What was hurting him when he was a senior in high school, the transfer portal, could become his best friend in a couple of years when he lights it up at a Group of 5 program. Maybe he dips his toes in the transfer portal and gets that opportunity to go to a bigger program that wouldn't have taken a look at him when he was a senior in high school. But now that he's a proven commodity at the collegiate level, now he has that opportunity.
When Ford High School Weekly returns, I have some thoughts of my own on the current challenges of college recruiting.
Ford High School Weekly is brought to you by Billy Sims Barbecue. It's not just barbecue, it's Boomer Q.
Welcome back to Ford High School Weekly. Getting recruited is an exciting and challenging time in your life. I remember my experience. I had so much fun getting courted and talked to by so many different coaches and universities, and having the opportunity to decide where my next steps were going to be in life. But also remember, it was full of anxiety and concern about making the right decision for me and my family, because the fact of the matter is you take them with you. But kids in this day and age have so many more challenges against them. You got to think about the extra year that was given to college players during the pandemic. That's competition. Think about the transfer portal. Kids deciding to go from one university to another. That's extra competition. And then think about these NIL deals who, if you're good enough, have come into play and given yourself an opportunity to make money off your likeness. In this day and age, there are less opportunities for high school players to receive Division I scholarships or scholarships at all. But the best players will play, and competition is at a high. But for those individuals who do have a slight chance of getting those few scholarships, you have to make sure you take care of your own business. That means getting good grades. That means taking care of everything off the field and being an outstanding citizen in your community. Now, recruiting is a complicated minefield, but it is a game that you have to be prepared for. And don't forget, the JUCO and Division II or III route is still an opportunity for you. And especially with the transfer portal, maybe you're not a D1 player now, but maybe you can be in the future. So remember, guys, be diligent in your schoolwork, be diligent on the field or on the basketball court or whatever playing surface you're on, and prepare to make the best decision for your future. Be sure to go to YurView.com/OK for highlights and replays of the Ford Game of the Week. And check out our podcast and past episodes at YurView.com/OK. Only the best in Oklahoma, like Bill Blankenship, Cameron Jourdan, and Michael Knight, make it a Ford High School Weekly. So thank you for watching, and until next time, I'm Deion Imade.
Ford High School Weekly has been brought to you by your Oklahoma Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Oklahoma. And by Rib Crib, smoking good stuff since '92.